Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.organissima.com. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty. Organissima.
All right. Well, hello, and welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, new show, new guest. And this time we're going in a different angle, an angle that affects a lot of businesses and more so in the healthcare field. But again, in every, live, daily life in general, we have to experience it. And it's important to all of us. And we play a role in it too. And so I'm being a little bit funny about this because I'm trying to give you a little suspense here. but really, our guest today is a specialist in an area that is unique to all of us in a way, because again, we all affected one way or the other or get affected by it. And so I have Barbara Khozam with me, and she is a specialist, customer service investigator. as and we'll talk about that title, but she is an expert in the customer experience and customer service, and that's why I was talking about the uniqueness about this particular show today, because it affects everyone. And so before we get into the deep stuff and dive into the discussion, Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Yay.
Our pleasure, my pleasure. And I was excited about this particular show because it's something that I love and I live by. And so before we get into all that and how I relate to it, and, how we both kind of relate to similar, concepts, tell us a little bit about yourself. As the tradition of the show is, you tell us a little bit about your history, how it all started, and what got you into this type of, approach and this kind of, angle.
Okay.
All yours.
Do you want the long version or the short version?
We got time.
All right, we've got time. Well, it all started. And so we'll go to college. I graduated from college with a degree in chemistry, of all things.
Okay.
Kind of odd. Yeah. So for 10 years, I worked as a chemist. But then I realized I don't like it. The only part of my job that I liked as a chemist was when I had to train someone on something. Like my specialty was drug testing. So anything you want to know about urine and drugs, I know. So I would train people on how to operate the equipment. And I really liked training, but it was only 10% of my job. So after 10 years, I was like, blah, I quit. I don't recommend that, by the way. I had no future job prospects. This is not what I recommend. So 8 lonely poor months later, I had no idea what I was doing. I joined on with a seminar company called SkillPath Seminars. So for 10 years, I gave presentations. I traveled all over the world. It was great. I learned platform skills. One of the topics I taught during that time was customer service. Well, 10 years into that career, I realized I don't like that either. So I quit. There's a pattern here. So I'm like, what do I do now? So I start my own company, like any weird person does. But the problem was I didn't really know what I was doing. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever done this. So I hired a coach. I like coaches. So I hired a coach and he's like, you want to speak professionally. You have 3 topics that will sell in corporate America. That is leadership, communication, and customer service. Pick one. So that's how I ended up picking customer service. But I love customer service. So it was a natural fit. But then a year later, I got connected with a healthcare consulting company. That's how I got into the healthcare industry. So about 75 to 80% of my clients are healthcare related. I still have other clients, but a lot of them are healthcare. That's my journey.
Wow, that's pretty intense, and it's a pretty interesting leap from one world to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at any given moment, the concept of the customer service is always there.
That's right.
And the more I think about it, the more I see that there is value and everyone is touched by it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one that is actually touched by it is individuals as customers, individuals as business people. It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Everyone, I think, has a role to play in the customer service world. And my experience with it, and just briefly, I was hired by one of the companies that drives customers experience to the next level, and this was I'm not going to give my age, but way years back, and that's nothing like the Disney World company, and so they basically teach you magic. I mean, and literally that's how they do it, and the concept, and the stuff that I learned there is really that customers are right, kings and queens, and you got to treat them like royalties, and you have to make them feel the magic. And so in my world, that's how my influence was. And so as I got into the insurance industry and the healthcare, it is part of it. And we have various types of customers, obviously. And the first ones are your customers or your members, right? That's customer satisfaction, member services, things like that. So that's my experience. So I could relate to your life, and you clearly stated it. I mean, in the corporate world, the CX or customer experience is big. And really, you cannot thrive in any business without it. I mean,
that's correct.
And we can talk about, you and I, we had this discussion earlier about the prospect of today, especially with the social media world and things. And that's a whole discussion itself. So I'll leave that to you to dissect with me. But so now you are in the customer service investigation. So what is that? CSI. What is that?
So yeah, I like that, huh? CSI.
Yeah.
So I'm basically a mystery shopper. I'm a professional mystery patient. I've taken my clothes off for a lot of people. So I do a lot of observing. You can learn a lot about a company by sitting around and watching. Like if I just sit in a reception office of a dentist or a doctor's office, I can hear front desk people, I can hear MAs, nurses. When I'm a patient, I'll go through the whole process from making an appointment to going in to getting the exam to leaving to so you can learn a lot by just watching people. So I do a lot of that. So every client that I work with, I'll do investigating. I'll do mystery shopping. I'll do calls. I'll have my team call. I'll walk around. And then I give them the report and I'm like, you need help.
It's funny. You just brought me back. So I did mention Disney. And so my role was a tour guide in there. And but I used to do overtime, from now, every now and then. And sometimes I worked in the Magic Kingdom. And in the Magic Kingdom, they do have actually mystery shopper or secret shopper in the program. So I would actually disguise myself as a customer and walk around, and just because there was sometimes, there's loss and prevention, that kind of thing. So people were basically, you play the innocent, guest, and just walk around and observe if there's anything going on that's funny. So it's funny because you mentioned that, and in our industry, in healthcare, we do actually employ agencies that do that for us. Whether it's not so much for quality, it's more for we are highly regulated with the Centers for Medicare Services, CMS, and so we have agents that are licensed and so on and so forth in the communities. And so sometimes they present to seniors, and we have to make sure that they do the right thing, they follow all the regulations. So by me or someone from the team goes in, I mean, they're going to do the right thing. So we hire these folks that actually go in there and pose as clients, and they basically give us a quite a nice report on each one, and then we address any deficiencies, that kind of thing. So I'm assuming that is the same thing, but now it's more about in your case, it's more about giving feedback to the leaders and getting the action.
Exactly.
So how does
in fact, one time, one of my clients was a plumbing company. So I would hide out in people's houses, and then the technician would would come, and I'd be like ducking under toilets and like behind closets, and yeah, it was it was a very athletic move happening there.
That's weird, but hey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. So yours, I mean, that was, you gave the example of plumbing, but now you do it with providers in healthcare settings, right? So
Yep.
I'm a provider, hospital, doctor, dentist, lab, I hire you or your company, and it's your company. And so you would go or send someone there, and basically they will do, a visual inspection and, or even an interaction, and basically review the sites and the, staff, the facility, the hygiene, the whole thing.
That's right.
I'm assuming this was a very, difficult year this year, because that's kind of dynamics, right, with COVID, and we want to drive there, in a minute, but let's guide us and the audience onto like how the whole process goes. How does it, start? What are you guys looking for specifically? I mean, I can imagine a few things that we're all going to be looking for if we wanted to see if the quality of the business is there. I mean, sometimes business also employ, telephonic, type of shoppers.
Right. Right.
So experience.
So the whole issue with the customer experience is that it's not just one touch point. Customers have multiple touch points. And so like with a doctor, for example, how do they hear about the doctor? Do they get a referral? That's a touch point. That's a great touch point. And then what do? Do they Google? Do they go online? And do they read those reviews, which we will talk about, which a lot of healthcare providers they don't even look at them. They don't even know they exist. I'm like, but 94% of patients go online to get validation. Customers go online to get validation of a company. Most of them do. And if we're not checking that, if we're not on top of those reviews, that's a problem. That's a touch point, right? Or maybe I go to the website, I go to a company's website. I'm like, oh, I have a question about something. I want to give them a call. I can't find the freaking phone number. Have you had that happen?
Yes.
I can't find a phone number. And then I click on the contact page. It's not even there. And then you have to go like 5 pages. That's a touch point, a negative touch point. So there's a bunch of stuff that we analyze before we even pick up the phone or walk in the door. It's every touch. And when I drive in, I see like garbage on the floor, on the ground, and while I'm walking in, or in the bath, I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, there's toilet paper on the floor, if there's toilet paper at all. Like it's every touch. It's not just the human one. It's every touch point, right? Or the sign. Like, okay, so I went to this one place. It was a dental office. So they gave me the address. So I'm like, oh, great. So I go there, and there's like a door to the left and a door to the right. And there's no sign. Or so I'm like looking left, I look right, I look left, I didn't know what. And so then finally I kind of walked closer, and I'm like, oh, I think I go like that's a touch point. They just need a sign with an arrow,
Paper
like
works too.
Yeah, like these little things. And see, why I'm so passionate about customer experience is that changing a few things can massively improve the experience. Customers have choices, right? I go to your website, I can't find your phone number. Oh, your competitors is right on the front page. Well, you can win over clients very quickly, very cheaply by fixing these little tiny touch points. So that's why I'm passionate about it.
Listen, I hear the passion, and I mean, I believe in it. And you're right. I mean, from like I'm in the sales world, in the healthcare, right? But really, we have a definition for our teams, which is we're the frontline customer service. Mm-hmm. So it starts with those crew members out there in the community, and everything they do, because they're the first people, first impressions, yes, first contact, first everything. But then, to your point, if you look at the website, if you look at even the website dynamics can be very, like, I get upset when I go to a website, I can't figure it out. Or like,
right.
It's somewhere buried in 10 layers. It's hard to find, what you want directly. You're right. Phones, contact, all this stuff. But I think, there is a driver behind this, because you're talking about providers, and when you think about some of the older providers, or like people that have been in business long enough, they may not have caught up to the technology on all this stuff. And some of these are small operations, so they may not have the teams. And it is simple stuff to change, and thus that's where you guys come in. And that's probably why you get recruited to, hey, I'm not seeing the right traffic. Can you help? And then you come in and give them an assessment. Hey, well, these are all the issues, and this is potentially the remedy. Fix it, and you'll see results. I mean, it makes sense, right? But I think I've seen that. I mean, I've gone to doctor offices myself, but they're really very antiquated offices. You still have old equipment, nothing is updated. And you mentioned reviews. That's a big deal too. And some people have not caught up to the review business. It's important. I order something anywhere, and I look. If it's not 4.5 plus, I'm not even looking at it, or maybe depends on what it is. But really, and again, that's the other. But there's also gimmicks on the reviews, and we can talk about that. So that's really a challenging, a concept when talking about the customer service experience. But each and every one of us is a customer.
That's right.
And that I think that's what I said earlier. It's an intriguing discussion because we all have to understand that. At any given point, we either serve or be served. And there's that whole discussion or the concept of do right unto others the way you want them to do unto you. Well, or whatever that expression is. But the concept there is the same, right? We all expect the highest standard of service. Yeah, sometimes when we're on the flip side, sometimes I've had arguments in a lot of places, with the attitude. What's that with that? I mean, what's your experience with that? I mean, attitude is big these days. You get to a place, they look at you like you have 3 heads, like they don't want to talk to you.
Right. I agree.
Do this job. You're there. Yeah. You got to do a good job. So tell us about that experience. And I'm sure it drives you nuts because your passion is on that level that you probably, what's up?
You mean like about the attitude piece?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So here's what is interesting, maybe. When I first started my company, my topic was attitude. It was called Zap Negativity, Ignite Yourself, Your Life, and Your Results. But my coach said, companies don't buy attitude. They buy these other 3 things. But that's why I picked customer service, because customer service is attitude, right? I am sure you have experienced a front desk person at a hotel, a restaurant, a doctor's office that hates people.
More than you think.
I'm like, why are you the face of this? And the problem, I think, is, they're the lowest paying person. I think they should be the highest paid. I mean, if they're answering the phone, if they're greeting people, they need to like people, but I think we get people that are good at processing. Oh, look, I got you in, I got you out.
Yeah, but
that's not the experience people want. They want to feel valued. People want to feel important and special. And I don't think we have the right people in the right positions a lot of times. Well, it's all about attitude.
Attitude is key. And whether you're an employee or an individual, I mean, even in personal life, attitude is everything. I mean,
that's right.
You don't
agree.
Attitude. I'm like, hey, stay away. I know we can touch into positivity, negativity, and all that stuff, but it's all playing in the same realm. Now, just to give you, so you mentioned something funny there. Well, interesting. And, when back to the Disney World, one thing, like the first training you get, and this is true fact, because they treat every employee as cast member. So you basically on stage. So really they have on stage and backstage. So you can have a fight in the backstage in the cafeteria. You're walking in there, you have to have a smile.
That's right.
You're trained. Doesn't matter.
You're on stage.
You're on stage. You're smiling. Right? You're in the act. You're actually on stage. You're in the role that you're playing, whatever that is. And that is exactly, while it is unique to that world of entertainment and fun, but that doesn't go away from going anywhere. You go to any place, when you get that nice fuzzy feeling and people are smiling, good morning, how are you, and this, and they treat you right, you do feel right about it, and you come back.
Right. Absolutely.
In everywhere. I mean, in the healthcare, certainly it's a big deal. And fortunately, now I've worked with a lot of private docs and hospitals. And again, hospitals levels change from city hospitals to like private owned hospitals and things like that. and you can see some of the treatment, sometimes they can be very mediocre. And to your point, the staff is not happy. They're not really pleased to be there. They're just in a dead end job maybe, and they're not really pleased. And and they hear all the blah, blah. And customers are always going to be screaming. But remember, you're in a hospital setting or in a doctor setting. The people are not coming there to have fun. They're coming because they're not feeling well. And so, first of all, the last thing they want is attitude or feel like they're ill-treated. I mean, they want to be at least getting the, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me see what I can do for you. People have to use compassion too. And I think that's sometimes lacking. And to your point, if that front staff is not well paid, or they're overworked, that's another. Sometimes you work too many hours and you're just tired. I mean,
or even not even treated well. Like I've been doing, so I'm on this mission. I'm interviewing 100 healthcare professionals in the United States. I've interviewed 30 so far, 1 in Turkey, 2 in Canada. And like the overriding theme is, if leadership isn't treating employees well, good luck. They're not going to treat patients well or customers well. Why would they?
Well, customers. That's a big deal in a corporate leadership. If you're not treating your employees right, they're not going to treat your customers right.
That's right.
And so take care of them. And so many, highly, reviewed, speakers and leadership specialists, they always highlight this topic, which is your employees are the top. You treat them here, top, you'll get top. You treat them low, you get nothing. And so that is a big deal.
Yeah. So I've been interviewing, these executives. One of them worked at a company where, during COVID, the poor healthcare workers, like they're either laid off because they work like at a primary care doctor or orthopedic that no one is having surgeries, or they're in the ER and they're like burnt out. So the most successful companies took care of the employees and made sure they had breaks, and they would come down on the floors themselves and they would take over, and they would make sure they had the PPE, and they would give them training. Those employees worked extra hours, and they would volunteer at COVID clinics and would take on extra stuff. At the other companies where the leaders could care less, turnover is through the roof. They can't, even today, to this day, people are leaving left and right because they're not treated well. They're like, why are we doing all this if no one cares about us? So it's huge. It's huge all over the place.
It is. And that, so now we have the question, there's a point where there is not enough training for leaders to be customer, service. They usually are business people, strategists, things like that. But some of them may not have been, in some, and it's sad because they lead by example. I mean, they're the top,
That's right?
And I don't think I've been in a lot of corporations, and I have not seen formal, customer service experience training in general. There is some level, but maybe to the people that are on the phone or whatever, but not really across the actual corporations. And I think that's the other thing. So they see it themselves. Some do, and I'm not generalizing here. There are some people that take pride in that and that's what makes a difference in terms of, like a lot of these companies now that's successful, whether it's Amazon and so on and so forth, and we'll talk about different levels here. But, the level of courtesy or things like that, when you get, on the phone, they treat you, and now we can talk about another, I guess, phenomena of people overseas handling your customer service. And I've had some funny experiences with that too. So, but I think that is a big thing. And I think from from the channel here, based on your experience, what would you, recommend for the executives and the hierarchies in different corporations in healthcare or otherwise, to change that culture? What would be like 2 items, 3 items you would really, give them as boost based on your experience and what you've already recommended?
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right in that a lot of leaders, they are just climbing the corporate ladder. They were doing the stuff and then they were so good, they got promoted. And then, but they never get trained on leadership skills or how to manage people. It's completely different. So, but what I have found is the leaders that are clear with their expectations of what they want. What do you want your people to do? And then your people are clear on what their expectations of you, like how they want you to communicate. And then you simply tell them how they're doing. Are they doing great, or do they need improvement? If they did those two things, they would be fantastic leaders. But what leaders do is they tell the employees the wrong things they do, and there's not enough recognition happening. They say, oh, well, they're just doing their job. So they still need recognition for doing their job, but people weren't, I don't know.
Oh, no, it's big. And you're right. I mean, I actually believe in recognition, and I do it all the time when we have meetings. There's always certificate of achievement, things like that, gift cards, thank you. Yeah, even a simple thank you works. You
Exactly.
Hey, I've had actually executives, I'm talking CEO levels, that actually would walk and come to trainings and meet the new staff. And I had CEOs will walk right by you and wouldn't have to say hi. So it varies
Right.
from one level to the other. It's personality and things like that. It's also power trips. There's so many things that can be, under that realm. But you're right. It's communication, recognition, and really, be in the trenches also. Many
Yes.
executives may not have the experience and what it takes to be in the front line. And
Right.
I think that's a big deal, because I actually had suggested many times, I personally spend more time in the field than the office as much as I can with the teams and stuff, because I want to be in the field, because I want to be exactly, and I need to also show that I can do exactly the job that I'm telling people to do.
Right.
But I have seen, some that actually take the time to do this. And I've had actually recommended once to have everyone actually go out, anyone in the company, spend at least a couple hours in the field with, the folks that are or in a customer service call center type. So you
Right.
listen, you take some calls and see what's up.
Exactly.
Listen to it. I mean, people get bashed on the call.
That's right.
There is no personal. There's no personal touch. There's no, physical and body language.
Yeah.
Really, all audio. And if you don't know how to do it on the phone, it
Yeah.
projects either positive or negative right off the bat. And if you say the wrong thing, and the other thing, I mean, I deal with seniors, so the hearing may be a little bit,
Yeah.
less. It's a little problematic. You have to scream, and you can't over scream because now you scream at them. So it's so all these things, I mean, are value and big deal, right? And
Right.
so some companies, they listen, they take the CS experience, to the next level. Another example, I mean, I've always had what I call a retention team, which is a proactive customer experience, or I call it a concierge experience.
Mhm.
So you don't have to wait until there's a problem to get people to resolve the issues as a customer. You be proactive and provide, added value to your customers in advance. Now you become different from your competition.
That's
And
right.
or your brand or your offering. It's sometimes not about what you have. It's also how people are treated. You can
That's
have the
right.
best service, you can have the best food, but you go in there and you're not treated well. I mean, hello, I can go somewhere else. Like, my money is good everywhere.
Right. Right.
And you see it in retail and restaurant business and hotel business. I mean, I've done some of, one of the last shows I've done was actually to compare a couple of hotels and see how they are and things like that. And you're right, you can see the difference in the attitude, the difference in how they do stuff, and it makes a big difference for you to either I want to go back or not. Now,
Right.
I know this is a topic that's probably gonna get you irritated right now.
Uh-oh.
Well, the customer experience has changed. You know,
Mhm.
I think that, even, and believe it or not, I mentioned Disney and I give them all the prize, in initially, but like more recently I've been there and it's not the same as it used to be.
Mm.
Even like I mean, with security measures and things, like it's just harder now. And
Yeah.
also people are not as friendly as they used to be. That's just my take. I mean, I've been there like hundreds of times. And besides the time I worked there,
Right.
but really, I've seen change, and I've seen it across the board. And then, so what is your take on that? I mean, today, I don't know if it's just me or you probably can relate to it more, but tell us more about your experience, like before and after. You've been doing this long enough. You've seen some changes to the plus or to the minus. Which way do you think, and what will be some of the factors that are impacting that?
Oh.
We have time. It's okay.
I wish I could say that it. I've seen bad customer service so much lately that it's like, so, and like my expectations are so low when I go somewhere that if someone basically gives me eye contact, I will kiss them, like, I'm like, wow, they looked at me, oh, it's a miracle.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That drives me nuts. You go somewhere, you stand there, but like you're not there. They walk by you. Nobody knows. May I help you? Can I help you? They just walk and they're busy.
right,
I walk around. I see someone's like, sir, ma'am, can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? Even if
right.
it's my job. But I think that's, I don't know. It's a culture now.
I don't
It's
know.
changing.
I don't know what it is, but I don't like it at all. I went to one of these, I won't say the name of it, one of these stores. It's a really big store where you get tools and wood and such.
There's only a few of them, but we'll guess which one.
It's a big one. And
Yeah.
so my brother told me to get some like blue tape, something. I don't know. I had it on a piece of paper. So I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. And it's a really big store. So I'm looking for someone to help me. Luckily, I had tennis shoes on. So I'm walking up and down aisles. I can't find anyone that works there. All I find are other customers looking for people to help. So I go to one aisle and I see a guy and I'm like, aha. So I start walking toward him, or I was running, and he leaves. He leaves. He walks away. And so I'm like, now I'm sprinting, right? And I'm like, oh, no, you don't. And so I go around the corner and I'm like, ha. And he goes, oh, you found me. I'm like, really? Wow.
I'm sorry.
You're laughing? Really?
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm laughing because just like I've seen it. I mean, I've had actually moments where I really got upset. Sometimes I make it vocal, like I make a scene just because you know what, somebody's gonna teach these people a lesson, and
right.
it is ridiculous because you work, if you don't like what you do, don't do it.
I know.
If you choose and accept a job, well, it comes with duties, and so you have to deliver and do the right thing. And you're right. I mean, I can't generalize. We can. I mean, there are some people that have the personality regardless, and they enjoy it, and they go the extra mile. And some people, they're there just bored, and they just want to count the minutes before they clock out. So
right. So I am a big proponent of, you might hate this, but I'm a big proponent of customer service protocols. So for example, when the customer walks in, you will acknowledge immediately with a smile. If you're working with another customer, you will give them a wave. So like that, like this, or, 1 second, or the just a sec motion. My ex-husband hates that one. Anyway, so you give them some kind of acknowledgement, right? So I'm a big fan of protocols that people can follow. Leaders can hold them accountable to it, because that's how you get consistency. Because I have this pizza place near me. One guy is good, the girl is awful. And so when I go, I'm like, I hope I get the guy. Well, that's inconsistent. Like, that's not a great customer experience. It's too wishy-washy. So I like creating protocols so we can get consistency, but leaders need to hold them accountable to it. But that's not happening. It doesn't happen anywhere, I don't think.
Well, you know what? It can happen, and it used to happen. I think that one of the challenges that I think a lot of business, have been experiencing in recent years, more so in the last year and a half with COVID and everything, is staffing. It's hard to find good talent and good employees, and I don't know why. I think also it's the attitude, I can get another job anywhere, and that's the other thing with the new generation, whereby it's like, whatever, I just walk out. There's no more that feeling like, what do you want? Let me go up there and get it for you. Used to get that. You don't.
Right.
And now people, business owners, and in any level, are settling for whatever they can get, to work. And, you mentioned something about this one versus the other one. You go to Walmart.
Right.
Walmart. So you get like a whole variety of people in there. And again, the good and the bad and the ugly. So some of them will jump hoops for you, and some of them will give you attitude. So and again, this is not bashing on Walmart, but I mean, it's really, we're talking about customer service. And if they listen to this show, they should be intrigued about maybe, looking to, they do a good job in terms of training stuff, but eventually it doesn't matter what you do, you have to be consistent. And
Right.
right, I don't know if there's some sort of a test mode that you have to do for people before they get hired. Just,
Yes.
I
Yes.
it is, something that can be implemented. And again, I'm
Yes.
probably recommended that. So those are things that, I've sold timeshare, and I can tell you, we learned to be so nice to people. Isn't funny,
Right.
especially if you're in the sales world. I mean, you
Yeah.
want people to be happy. Car dealerships is another one. You walk into one,
Right.
everybody is, like, some depends on the company that you're gonna buy from. Some companies, they're like, all over you. They just want
I
to.
know.
And some companies, they work differently, the structure, the compensation structure, and you feel like, oh my God, I'm royalty here. So, and
Right.
I'm not talking about fancy cars, I'm talking just regular. It depends on the dealership and who is owning that. So it varies. I think, to your point, the key, it starts with the top leaders,
Right.
owners. If you really care about your business, well, you
Mhm.
got to care about your employees, and you would not allow anyone from your employees to mistreat or do bad, give bad impressions to your customers. Otherwise, you're
Right.
going to see lesser and lesser of them, and it's going to impact your bottom line. You're investing in your business, and
Right.
you don't want someone to come in and destroy what you've worked hard to.
That's correct.
Uh,
Plus, I'm sure you've had this experience where you have on your team maybe like one like person who's not very good at customer service. They're just not up to par, right? But we keep them on the team. We don't reprimand them. We don't do anything with them. But that brings down everybody else. Because everybody else is like, well, that's not fair. How come they get away with that? How come I have to be not? Well, I'm not, nothing happened to them. So, so then everyone starts going down. One rotten egg can bring down everybody. So like, get rid of them, keep the solid good ones.
Listen, and you just touch on a very, very touchy, subject there, because, now you get into labor and rights and all this.
Yeah.
Well, but, it is part of performance. And
Yes.
so if it's implemented as part of performance and you put the metrics in place,
Right.
and you give them, these are your, like, for example, in the way we do this, the compensation structures, I always add these attributes within there. So, for example, you want to get some bonus money? Guess what? Customer service, experience, retention. People have to be happy. No bad, conflicts and things like that. So some of the things you add in there, and so now there's almost a bait there, or like there's a compensation for it. But sometimes it helps. At least there is a physical aspect to it. So they have a motivation to actually do right. They should just be motivated by money. But sometimes if you put there on the flip side, if you don't, well, these are the measures. If you don't do it, then we go to HR and do whatever we have to do.
That's correct.
And ultimately, if your attitude stinks and, we are, a member or customer facing, well, this is not the place for you. Either we'll take you to a place where you don't talk to anything but, machines.
Right. Right.
You can deal with a robot or a computer. That's fine. You can beat them to death or don't. But you can't do it with your customers, right? So again, it's all about implementing these strategies, to your point. And again, it's all training, and it's consistent training, to your point. And when you have your lower performers, well, they have to either get into programs and training. You can bring in, folks like you and companies that can help, get there. Or some companies, they have their own training departments, or like, like, the learning development type of, units, and they can have these programs available to folks. Or sometimes you send people out to these stuff and things like now with online webinars and stuff. It's plenty.
Absolutely.
So you're right. Now let's touch on the new world that we live in. I mean, we've talked, it's all what we live in, but now we, especially since COVID to now, we spend a lot more time online and virtually. I mean, we're virtual right now.
That's right.
You're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time online, and our kids, and the new generation is really social media driven. And there's more platforms than you can count these days, right? So the problem is, what I've noticed, and if you can tell us based on your experience, what's happening? I mean, some of these companies, they don't even have customer service number. You can't get book customer service. Amazon, if you're a seller side, you don't even have a customer service. You have to set up appointments to do this. A lot of robot and chat boxes and chat bots and things like that. It drives you nuts. And then we have the other like where people are using overseas,
Oh, yes.
units that may not understand besides the accents and the dialects and things like that. It's also the culture or even the neighborhoods. And I'll tell you about a funny story, and then I'll give you the mic here. But one time I went to a call center and to outside. We were in New York. The company I worked for was in New York, and the customer service was in Indiana. The call center. But it was a sales call center. So they were
Okay.
like call in and doing stuff. But then the person, like, I'm listening to the calls, and someone was from Brooklyn, and in a specific area in Brooklyn, and this person had no clue that that area was in Brooklyn. So he was describing things to that customer. They're literally like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Had no clue. And remember, the person does not know that this is a call center somewhere in the Midwest. They
Right.
just know that this is the company that they work with in their city. So,
Right.
so we use that as a coaching, concept.
Right.
We put the whole team together in training. We train them on the maps. We train them on what those neighborhoods are. Did some Google business on them
Right.
so you need to learn that when you're talking to these people, they have to think that you are in the neighborhood, that you know
Right.
where you are, because you can't just make statements that don't apply to everybody.
That's right.
And so that's just an experience that I've had.
Yeah.
So now, but tell us, from your experience, I know you did this. So that kind of, that
Oh,
put you back, some rough memories here. So tell us about, this whole social, dilemma right now, and maybe are there solutions, or this is the way of the future?
well, for sure, the whole internet and ratings, it's here to stay for sure. So the problem is that let's say a company only has 5 ratings. Let's say they only have 5 ratings and one of them is bad. Well, that's ruining your stats. Like that. I was looking at it was a Yelp review of a company. They had 3 reviews. One was a 5, one was a 4, one was a 1. But Yelp gave them a rating of 2.5.
Average. Okay.
That doesn't make sense, right? If you were like 33%, 33%, and 33, why so low? It gave 49% of the weight to the 1-star rating, So the whole point is, if you are monitoring these ratings, you need to actively get positive review. If you have a customer that loves you, you need to ask them, hey, would you please put a review? For example, so one of my clients is a plumbing company. I think I told you that. They had 140 technicians, they're called. And they had like a 3-star rating. There's tons of plumbers where I live, by the way. The competition is fierce. And they only had a 3-star rating. So what they started doing is they gave every technician an iPad. And it was mandatory that after every visit, they had to ask for a review. Now, the customer didn't have to give it, but it was mandatory that they asked for it. So think about it. If your technicians are forced to ask for a review of their performance, are they or are they not going to step up to the plate?
They are. As a matter of
They
fact,
are. So they're going to probably act better. They're going to get reviews. So now we're at like, I think, a 4.5-star rating. It took about a year to raise it, but they were actively seeking out those positive reviews. Because what happens when you have a negative experience? Oh, it's easy. Oh, I hate this. These people suck. But when you have a good or average one, you're like, I don't feel the need to write anything unless it's like super, spectacular. So you need to bombard the negative ones with positive ones. You can't take them away, but you can ask for the positive ones and get, better overall ratings.
You're always going to have some low performers, right?
Yes.
But the low average has to be, more on the top and very little on the bottom. And then either you walk them up or walk them out.
Right.
And
another thing is you need to monitor these things and respond to them. Like if I see a negative review and the company doesn't respond at all, that's a problem. It's like, oh, they don't care. Why aren't they I don't like the generic response either, but it could be like, oh, thank you so much for letting us know. Please contact our manager. Here's the number. We certainly want to address this. Something simple like that. But
Well,
if they're not addressing it, it's another issue.
and you're right. That means they're either not paying attention or they don't care.
Right.
And you're right. Sometimes when you respond, because some people also can't go funny just because they didn't like whatever, or
Yeah.
they want to just do some play games and they put a weird review. And some
Yes.
you respond like, well, that's not what happened. Did you ask? Did you do this? Did you bring it up to our attention? No.
Right.
So when people go in, they see the reply. If the reply makes sense, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, things
Right.
happen. Things happen.
Right.
Business, right? Now, actually, a good example. This happened to me, and I'm not mentioning which car, but I had a car experience. I dropped this car, and when I got the car back, I had a fuse on the dashboard still there. I had some stuff.
Oh.
I'm not sure whether that fuse is working. It's
Right.
the hood stuff was still in the back seat. I'm like, what the hell? So I went in and I took pictures of everything, and I put a nice review. Girl, I got the manager calling me. They were harassing me just to remove that review and just whatever you want. We'll pick up the car. We'll do whatever. We'll give you this. And next thing was on us. They did whatever it took to actually need to make that leap and change or remove that.
Nice.
Well, again, I mean, that's the other thing. You do the review, so other people don't experience the same thing.
Right.
And you just mentioned something that is new. Well, not new. It's recently, in the last few years. But a lot of the companies are using that especially on the phones. Sir, at the end of the call, would you kindly just, give me, I need your stars, and can you just hook me up with a yes or no or great and whatever? And then, we'll hold for a brief survey, and then you get the survey and you give them yes, no, whatever.
Right.
That's been changing the dynamics on telecom, cable companies, and a lot of other, services, now, and even stores sometimes, some of the larger chains you go in, it's like, hey, can you just hook me up with a nice survey if I did a good service here, blah, blah, blah. You get access to some sort of a raffle or whatever, like they're going to do a draw and you might win $10,000. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But all those actually, and you're right, because if I'm getting 1 star all the time, I mean, Uber is an example.
Yeah.
And Lyft and all that, you got to give them ratings. Boom.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't get my water. 3.
Right.
Just joking.
Right. Right.
But, so you're right. Those are techniques and strategies that make a difference. So again, companies have to be more creative, but it's always about accountability and bring them to, people have to realize that the reason, and I've always said this is something I believe in. We only have a job because of those customers.
That's right.
No customers, no business, you're out of job,
Right.
And if you have the same attitude, no matter where you go, you're not going to be maintaining that job for a long time. And so even if you want to have a nice, decent living and steady, well, you have to have a steady. And then the other thing, you said attitude. Sometimes people having tough time in their personal life, which can happen to all of us. Everybody goes through ups and downs, financial, this, that. That is not a good reason for people to really have a bad day and just take it on the others.
Right.
If you have a bad day, take a day off, and it's okay. Talk to your supervisor, whatever, put you on a task where it's, do inventory. I'm just saying, but don't go in the front line, because you just gotta cool down. Right. And
exactly.
So, but if you're facing, you have to almost do a temperature check. We have to do a temper and a temperature check with you.
That's right.
How are we doing? Is it high? Is it low? Let's see how you're doing. But stuff like that. I mean, it's almost like you have to have a police, like customer service police.
Right.
Which you are. I mean, technically, that's what you do.
Right.
You do it as a third party. So going back to social, social media. Why is it that they don't have, customer service, numbers anymore? Because they all over the world and have billions. I mean, they make enough. They're
stupid. I don't know. It makes me crazy. I don't. And I was reading a statistic. I read all sorts of statistics on this stuff. And it said that that people still use 72% of customers still use the phone to contact a company. Now they might start, which I like chat. I really like the chat feature. That's great for, where do I go on the webpage for this? Like easy stuff, right? But if I have a problem with a product or a service, the chat won't work. I need to talk to a human. And if you can't, if I can't do that, it's frustrating, right? So I don't know why it's so hard to find a phone number nowadays. It baffles me.
Well, a lot of companies don't. I mean, you can.
I know.
There is a toll free for Facebook, but it doesn't work. PayPal. They used to be able to talk to them. You can't. Some of the platforms, like online platforms, they used to have numbers. They don't anymore. Just becoming, like YouTube and stuff. It's all chat and support. It's very difficult. It's amazing. One thing I wanted to ask. I don't know if you've experienced this. So, sometimes you call on the phone. You're right. I like to talk on the phone. It's easier. I tell you what I need. You understand what I'm saying, because sometimes in writing I have to really write a whole essay just for you to comprehend it.
Right.
Now, if I tell you 2 words, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But then, and it's easy done. And then of course you get the other issue when you dial in and we are experiencing long-term, wait time, and you're on the phone with some funky music.
Right.
And I bet you'll be like, okay, I'm out. Shut it down. But so you talk to someone that is a frontline, call center, rep. You're talking to them, and they're really it's funny because you can get it from the first hi or hello. You know that this is gonna go bad or good. No, seriously, you just hear them like, this is John speaking. How can I help you?
Right.
It's gonna be rough. Well, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great day and stuff. Certainly, yes, those two actually give you an experience up from the get-go. That this is going one way or the other, and then your attitude also changes now. As soon as you have that, your mind is like, oh, this is gonna be rough. So now you're ready for war.
Right. Exactly.
So the exchange gets crazy. Now here's the thing. Sometimes, and I've had this done before. You talk to the person, and they give you all kind of bad stuff. So I say, as soon as I get there, it's like, you know what? Do me a favor. I need to speak to your supervisor. Supervisor, come on board. The supervisor now is excellent.
Right.
I'm sorry, hear that. Let me do. Well, why is it? And I tell him, you were able to solve my problem with the same question. I didn't change it. It's the same problem. But you were able to do it while you have more access? No. I mean, they're supposed to be trained to do exactly what you do. And the only difference why I got you, because they were just giving me a hard time and they don't even know what they're talking about.
Right.
Able to do 1, 2, 3 and resolve the problem, and with a smile,
Right.
and you give them a feedback. And actually, I tell them, listen, from my experience, I run call centers. Guess what? You need to give them, a little bit of coaching. This is a coaching moment for these people. Maybe it's something that listen to the call. I tell them, pull the call.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
it is bad. Now someone may not be able to tell you that. I'm telling you because I train people to do that for my own company, and I need to make sure that. So whatever I expect, on my staff, I expect it from yours. So, but I'm sure you've experienced that. I'm sure if you're watching the show or listening on the radio here, you will probably relate to that. It's common when you get somebody on the phone and it really, really drives you nuts, and you probably spend 10, 15 minutes just to explain what the problem is.
Yeah.
Oh, sir, we can't do this. We don't know that. Like, just give me someone who can. If you can, we can go to the next 3rd tier level until we get somebody that, and someone will be able to do. Oh, they're not available. Well, guess what? Make them available. I'll wait. I have time. But really, it's crazy, right? But that's something that is more common now. And again, call centers all over the world sometimes can be challenging.
Right.
And you get a lot of these problems. So.
Yes.
So what else can you tell us today about the customer experience as a whole? I mean, how do you rate it in a business? Is it 50%? Is it 30%? Is it 10%?
It's 100%. No.
I like that.
Well,
so I was a high number.
Well,
So,
I mean, if we're not treating them well, they're not going to come back. They're not going to tell others, But one of the reasons why I like healthcare is they have surveys. They have customer satisfaction. These CAPS, these surveys.
Yep.
And based on how well a practice performs, they will get reimbursement. So if they score well on the survey, they're going to get more reimbursement, meaning more moolah.
Mhm.
So I like the fact that in healthcare, we can tie money to patient satisfaction. So in other businesses, sometimes it's hard to quantify customer service. It's like, oh, we were we were friendly and we followed up. Like, how do we measure it? So that's why I am a big proponent of getting feedback and getting, no matter what business you're in, I am a big fan of constantly interviewing people, calling them, doing surveys, on the spot, mail, email, whatever, to get the feedback. A lot of companies, there's a statistic, 80% of companies think they provide great service, only 8% of customers agree. So that's a big chunk. 80% think they provide great service, only 8% of customers agree.
Well, because it's not based on their surveys, they're based on their own intuition.
Yeah. Or they just think, oh, well, we're doing okay money wise, but they don't know customers buy once and leave. They're not tracking it. They're not asking, why didn't you come back? Well, what can we do to be better? So they're not getting the feedback from the consumers. That's a big deal.
Well, customer retention is big.
Yeah, it is. It is huge.
You just said it. I mean, you talked about in the provider world or the healthcare caps. I mean, it's a big deal. And we, like, as a payer company, we actually have these measures in place in the contracts and things, and we have incentives for, these providers to do certain things in the care, to provide the highest potential care, code correctly, do all the stuff. And, and then we get the surveys, satisfaction, things like that. Even the regulators, they do surveys as well. And they survey, like, for example, with CMS, they do annual surveys to all the Medicare recipients who are in a managed care company. And so each plan gets basically surveyed. They take a universe from their membership and they call them. And they have a series of questions about providers, about service, about all this stuff. And one of the areas that's typically big, it's either customer service experience, like how they being treated, or the provider access and the provider care and so on and so forth. And those are big. And companies spend a lot of energy on those areas because, like, in the managed care and the Medicare world now, we have stars.
Yep.
So if your caps and all your measures are low, you get lower stars, and therefore now you have a problem because your reimbursement now is attached to that, and you lose dollars premium.
Right.
If your stars are high, you get paid a lot more, and therefore you can also service the community and your membership better. So it is a big deal. And so in the healthcare, that is a humongous type of approach that makes a difference. And with more recent years, I mean, it's become the biggest thing, and all the plans work really hard to make sure that their networks, their providers are really par. And sometimes some doctors that may not be in the game, they term contract and things like that because they're not meeting the credential or the ratings that they need. So all that stuff is big, and health is important. Now, healthcare is key for everyone. We can talk about retail, we can talk about consumer services, but healthcare is, especially in a year like the COVID, healthcare is everything. But it's big.
Yeah.
And I understand why you chose healthcare specifically, because that is a big area, and there's plenty of potential and plenty of opportunity there to improve.
Exactly. What's interesting, you just touched upon this. Today I did a presentation on access for a healthcare group because, and what we talked about, it was all about communication, because, like, the problem with some of those surveys, the questions, they're like, how often did you get the appointment as soon as you needed it? Well, that's someone's opinion. Was it easy to get the appointment? That's someone's opinion. So how do we fix that? Well, we need to communicate. We need to say, you know what, I'm going to make this easy for you. I want to make sure you get your appointment as soon as you needed it. So then when they get the survey, they're like, oh, was it easy? Yeah, she said it was. Yeah, it was easy. Like, it's all. But you need to clearly communicate. You need to know what they're asking and then communicate around that. Like, did you get the care? Were they caring? Well, what are you going to say? You know what? We're going to take great care of you. Were they helpful? What did they say? You know what? Did you need anything else I could help you with? Like, communicate clearly around these issues. We can get higher satisfaction results. It's kind of cool.
It is. And listen, I mean, we're coming to the end of the show here, but I don't think 1 hour is enough to actually cover all the.
Has it been an hour? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Okay. There's one more thing I want to say, because this is important.
We good.
So customers, it's okay for customers to get mad. It's okay for them to complain, because when we respond quickly and efficiently and we give them options, they can go from average to loyal. They can go from okay, like satisfied, to in love with us. So I just want people to just realize it's okay to have a problem, to mess up. Just like what you said, if you're at the restaurant and they mess up, they give you the wrong meal. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me get you the right meal. Here's a dessert. Like, you're going to be like, yeah, I love these people.
Well,
So,
well, they do. And as a matter of fact, I use a true story that happened to me in training. And it was about customer service. So this is way first when I started in the industry as a representative. I was actually doing a presentation in a clinic. And so now you're in front of about 30 people in a room. And so I'm talking about our company, and the lady stands up from the back. Your company sucks. Now, I mean, that's basically your day is ruined. I mean, what are you gonna, like, so there's two things here. Like, I'm done, right? So here I go with my little, customer service, background, and
Yeah.
and the magic that I was trained with. So I'm like, well, ma'am, I understand there's an issue. Can you tell me more about the problem? In front of everybody, I isolated the problem right there. Instead of me just walking away and showing that we're not taking care of it,
Right.
I stood there and said, can you tell me more about the story? Well, I've been waiting too long talking about appointments. This was at a clinic. I was waiting too long. I can never get, my appointment on time. So you're telling me that the problem is not with the plan. The problem is right now with our provider, that you're here and you're not able to get, in front of a doctor sooner than you need. And when you come to the clinic, you wait long, right? Yes. Come with me. So I took her with me literally out of, in front of everybody, and walked away to we had an actual office of customer service in member services in that particular clinic, a hospital. And so we resolved her issues. She comes back and now she stands like, you know what? I was wrong. I mean, these guys do have issues, but they resolved my problem for me. Now I'm going to go start seeing a doctor outside of this clinic.
Oh.
But it's, I swear to God, this is a true, personal experience, and you have to use it, because problems are going to happen, and it's just
right. They're going to happen.
And that's the other thing I tell them. Things can happen. It's not the problem that's the issue. Is how you handle the problem, and are you resolve the issues. You use transportation. The transportation company, the guy got into an accident coming your way. What are you going to do? It can happen.
Right.
It's how do I quickly intervene as a plan or service and change that experience and give them better. Maybe, listen, we feel sorry. Next time is on us. Whatever, come back. We'll give you 2 rides next time.
Right.
Whatever it takes to give them back. And we see a lot of companies do that.
Right. Exactly.
On another world, one time this happened to me with one of the cable companies. So I called them and I'm telling them the service sucks, blah, blah, blah. I need something. And I want to disenroll. I want to cancel. Oh, okay. Blah, 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 blah. So person's giving me attitudes like, I don't care who you're going to tell. I'm not staying with you. I'm done. So then later on, they start bombarding me with like, please come back. Please come back. No, I'm not coming back. See, because when I told you guys, I have an option and you guys didn't want to treat me right. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to make sure that my service is correct. You give me a little attitude, guess what? There's plenty out there to select.
That's right.
You don't want to be the one? Well, now you're going to have to run and try to get me back, but you're not.
Right.
So I'd rather take my chances somewhere else. And that's really, you take your business somewhere else, and
that's right.
A loss. So
right. I agree.
Listen, I mean, I'm topic, and it's everybody's affected by it. I think
that's right.
Listening to this, you were either related on one way or the other. And as consumers, we expect the best. As business, we expect the best. But if we all take it to the level we really, really, really know and understand that we all impact each other with this, I think the result will be, great and the best. But
world peace.
World peace. Oh yeah. Yeah, right. But really, I mean, think about it, right? Everybody will be happy, and the interactions will be smooth. You walk in anywhere, everybody's happy. And
I know
people have bad days, we all have bad days. But even if you have bad days, maybe sometimes you talk to someone, they cheer you up, your day becomes better, so that's the other thing. If you're having fun or you try to have fun, you're always gonna get, a good attitude. And if you're really just miserable, I don't feel it. Well, if you don't feel it, this is another place.
Right.
I've seen it in gyms. You go to a gym and you got this
Uh,
trainer that is like totally like he just did for like, whatever. Yeah, pick up
right.
some weights, go up the stairs.
Right.
They're not even into it, So
Right.
you got all these kind of, folks. But that's the thing. People recruit, but they don't maintain,
Yeah.
continue calibration.
Right.
their
Exactly.
staff.
Yeah. It's an
Uh,
ongoing conversation.
It is. And when someone complains, you don't side, but you protect your employees, but you don't side with them if they're wrong. You know,
Right.
if they're wrong,
Right.
they're wrong. And of course there are customers that are always gonna complain.
Yeah.
There's some just chronic complaint. They're just
Right.
they're like,
Exactly. That's
I-
what works for them.
yeah. But
Yeah.
you can tell when someone is legitimately, has a concern, and someone
Yeah.
who's like, it's just they want, that's just them. That's the
Right.
attitude. That's the other side of it. But again, you're in the business. That person mentioned one key item is word of mouth. That person walks out. We all have this. If someone tells you like, oh, do you have a good doctor? Yes. You have a lawyer? Yes. You have a
Yes.
realtor? Yes. We all have someone to refer to. But if
Yeah.
you have a bad experience, oh, do not go there.
That's right.
I would not recommend this place. And that's very quick. Like in our circles in the healthcare, or at least in the insurance, you do you go to present in a senior center, for example, as a team. And if one senior is not happy with you, you can never walk into that senior center because everybody there
Oh.
is because they're all gonna like, do not talk to these guys. You're ruined. That's it. It's done.
Wow.
Business is ruined right off the bat. You can't even do anything. So if a rep goes in there or an agent goes in anywhere of those places, and they give a bad impression, it's not them. It's really the whole plan now is that's impacted. And
Wow.
it's not a good thing. And then
Yeah.
it affects your doctors now because the doctors are going to be like, well, that plan I'm not happy about. Let's not go there. Go to this plan versus this plan. Well, they're not
Right.
supposed to do that for me, a regulatory stuff, but it's personal opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be seeing that plan. I got a better place for you. I have this representative. Talk to these guys. And that's really what happens. So it's real
Wow.
stuff. I mean,
I know.
that experience is the greatest thing that can either break you or make you.
That's right.
We'd rather, for it to make us.
That's
as-
right.
and really,
Yeah.
it's a good interaction. So
Exactly.
Barbara, listen, I mean, this is exciting. We can talk. I know, time is of the essence here, but so if you're to leave us with just a couple of pointers, to the consumers here, what would you tell people, how with behavior, whether to the consumers or to the businesses, couple of items to close the show today. What would that be?
How about just be nice? Whether you're a consumer or a customer service representative, it's really just about being nice. You don't have to like someone, you don't have to agree with them. And this is true for any human being, right?
Yes.
Just be nice. I mean, you'll get more by being nice. If you're a customer and you want something, you'll get more by being nice than being a jerk, no matter what role you're playing. So I think that's my thing. Kill them with kindness.
I wouldn't say extra words here. That's it. I'm done. Barbara, it was a true pleasure. I think this exchange was pretty intense. I think we've covered.
I know, right?
I told you it was going to be fun. We enjoyed it. So thank you for being on the show and
My
for
pleasure.
your angle of how it is happening out there. So thank you so much. And folks, I hope you enjoyed this particular show and our guest today. Look forward to more fun stuff. Thank you for watching the iHealth channel and listening on iHealth Radio. Hurricane H here. Ciao, ciao. Until the next time. Bye-bye.